Today's episode is brought to you by applaudable.net.
One player may be coachable for one coach, but for another coach, he's not, because all of a sudden he comes to the coach as, a great coach, and he's going, hey, in the last 3 minutes you've done this, and, you got to work on this. You were late to practice. You were this. And all of a sudden that player's not coachable anymore.
So what are you looking for? Like, how hard is it to pick someone when they're potentially going to have a contract, and you might be looking at someone and only find out later that they're not up for grabs?
Well, you go over on different tiers when you go over to the Summer League. I mean, you know what your budget is when you go over there. So it's certain players that you're not even looking at, because you're not in their price range or their budget range. So you have to be very selective about, the 15, if you're looking at a point guard, the 15 point guards that are in your price range that are going to be there. How much time are you going to get a chance to go out and watch them, see them, and really evaluate them? What I've been able to do is take over a group of people. So we'll take over 5 or 6 coaches from here. Australia will take 5 or 6 coaches from America. We all get together. I give them scouting assignments. So they go out and they got a guy that they're going to watch for 3 games. We meet up in the morning, and we meet up in the morning at breakfast, and everybody gives an evaluation. Yeah, now the guy I watched, he was horrible. You can't do this, do that. And then we rotate. And another guy, we may look at another. We rotate groups, so I won't look at the same 3 anymore. And we just try to narrow it down till we get it down to 4 or 5 guys. If you can get a chance to work them out over there, that's great. And you bring them in, and Eric Jacobson, I was able to bring him in and put him through a workout, and, just meeting him right away, I was like, I want this kid. Like, he was great. So it is a process. It's a big process, but it's a lot of fun. Like, I literally do not have that much fun doing anything. Like, it's basketball from 8 in the morning to 8 at night, and it's every level you can imagine. It's not just the NBA guys there. You have the Korean team, Korean camp there. You had a Nigerian camp. You have Euro League camp. So it's unbelievable. It's just a great opportunity.
And how much sharing of knowledge do you find in those environments? Are you there? Are you too busy to do that, or do you bounce ideas and talk to people? Like, is there an opportunity for that sort of networking?
No, definitely. Like, I'm trying, while I'm there in Vegas, I'm trying to learn as much as I can while I'm scouting. When I went with Utah that year, the whole time I'm just looking, learning, and writing stuff down. I wasn't at any point really, I'm not changing the way the game's being played out there. As a coach, or a so-called coach in that situation, I'm really just there to learn. I'm not coaching anybody. I'm just there to learn and look at, what coaches are doing and why they're doing it and how the players respond to it. And it was a great learning opportunity for me.
Yeah. So got a question for you. Another Joe story that he's told someone. So this could go either way. So you played against Michael Jordan and blocked him?
Not true.
I don't know.
0 for 2 right now.
I'm starting the only D Joey ever played, according to Big Joe. I think that they're stitching Big Joe up tonight. These guys. I think he's getting the stitch up here a little bit. I think there's going to be some stories coming hard and fast. Jamal has popped in too, so you've done some workouts with Jamal Robateau.
Oh, I got some great video footage on Jamal, working him out. Great young talent.
Yeah, so I think he's back in my neck of the woods. I actually played against his dad and coached against his dad, but I don't remember ever winning anything against his dad. I can remember.
Vern was the real deal. Like, a lot of people, he's so unassuming and he's so quiet, such a nice guy. And he didn't play in the NBL, so people, kind of don't give him the credit. But back then, a lot of guys, Pop Dickerson, and those guys, they didn't play in the NBL because they were making more money playing in the second state league. And Vern was one of them guys that just flat out give you buckets.
You couldn't guard him because he didn't shoot from the 3-point line that everyone else did. He was one of these guys that'd pull up from like a quarter court and just let it fly, and you'd be waiting back at the 3-point line. And I mean, he has height on me, but I did guard him in a couple of games up at the domestic comp that I played in you don't guard him because he just shoots. So he's good. He's a good player at the time. And actually, Jamal, I think actually if it wasn't Jamal, it might have been his brother. But I think he'll correct me if I'm wrong. But coached him at a club level as a junior for one season. But he was very versatile. But it might have been his brother. I can't remember whether it was him or his brother that I actually coached that year. But that's going back over a decade ago. So, but very good family. Like very good basketball mind too, the Vern. So,
just a great family all together, all around. They're just really great people, just nice people, but just great talented as well. Very talented.
You mentioned Clarence there, Pop Dickerson. Back in the day, I coached at a couple of his camps, and he used to have. I don't know if you remember because you would have been a player at the time. He used to have camps in every state, super camps, but they were in every state. Now he just runs them out of like Toowoomba, but that was one of the places I got to meet a lot of NBL players and rack their brain, like because I was coming through. I was a coach in that environment, but there was Al Green was there, Steve Carfino, a whole heap of Derek Rucker coach there. I think Dean Utoff was there. So I just latched onto him and asked him a million questions as a player and a coach at the time, and some of the things that I learned that stick with me to this day that I share with athletes because that's how you learn through players. So those opportunities. But just when you mentioned Pop Dickerson, it just took me back 30 years. Gee, so did I actually remember that? That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, but I'll pull out if anyone's got any questions for Joey, by all means, throw them at us, and if we feel that they're worthy of a response, we will. Have you got any questions there, or do you want to give any shout-outs, Joey, in your...
Well, we got on mine. I got Leroy Loggins watching here. What's up, the legend? He's the man. My man Lee Toon is watching here. So, what's up, Lee? That's my go-to guy, my electronics store there.
Okay.
But if y'all got any questions on mine that you guys want to ask, you can go ahead and ask as well. Not you, Jason. No questions for you, Jason Cadet.
Yeah, so I actually, Leroy probably wouldn't remember, but I did a Indigenous 3-on-3 with him at Nudgee College back in the day when he was still playing. But they asked recently what game, like Bullets posted from their live stream the other week, what game they want people to show. And I actually asked for, I don't know if I asked for Leroy's last game or the last game he scored like 30-something points. It was at the end of his career, and he was getting annoyed because the old situation when as you get older, you get less minutes, and he could still put up numbers, and he was a bit insulted, I think, by it. I think he's a 3-time MVP of the league or something. So,
well, I'll tell you a story. After I retired from playing, and I was in the States, I came back to visit the Bullets in Brisbane. I came back to visit a friend of mine who was still playing for the Bullets. And he had told me that he thought Leroy lost a step. So I came into practice. At the time, I wasn't coaching anything. I was just in real estate. I came in and watched the practice for 2 hours. And after practice, walked away. I said, I don't know what Leroy you talking about. I said, that Leroy I just saw and lost a step. He was 40 plus then, and he was out there in training giving them buckets. Like he was giving them buckets. I was like, I don't know. And the next game, I think he dropped 35 while I was there. I had a chance to watch a game there. He dropped about 35. I was like, he hadn't lost a step to me. And like I said, he was 40 plus. Him and Derek Rucker, Darryl McDonald are probably the best 40-year-olds I've ever seen in my life play basketball. I mean, what they could do. I think Derek had 44 points when he was over 40 in one game. So, I mean, that's unbelievable.
He's super fit.
Still.
Yeah. Bumped into him a couple of times. So Big Joe's, like, just saying, but my interview had the most viewers than anyone so far. And he's saying, just let Joey know that. So
that's Big
Joe. Yeah, so this is what Jason and him were doing the whole, like...
That's because he had all his cousins tune in from Dickerson. That's why he had more viewers.
Yeah.
They had nothing else to do over there in Bali, so all his cousins would have tuned in.
Yeah, so we've got Jamal is actually asking a question. What are the 3 most important things for a player to have, I guess? What do you think, or 3? He hasn't sort of cleared or clarified that, oh, actually, he's got a ha, so there's obviously an inside joke there. So I don't know if you can share.
One of his ability to dodge a non-moving chair. And Jamal would know what that means. But look, you got to have competitive nature. Like, your competitive nature means a lot. Your ability to, to go out there and just want to dominate and be better and be successful. You got to have that. If you don't have that, then you're not going to be good. Creativity, you got to have a level of creativity. You got to be able to think. If creative people can think outside the box, so you got to have that. And the reality of it is, you got to have a level of athleticism. The further you go up, it's just some levels that you're not going to be able to compete at. So you got to make sure that you got to have a level of athleticism that competes at whatever level you're at as well.
Yeah.
What's up, Billy Sims? Oh, man. So those are three of the things. Basketball IQ is another one. I mean, you got to understand the game, be able to play the game, and coachability. Those are the things I look for when I'm going out looking at a player. Is he coachable? Does he have does he have basketball IQ? Is he athletic? Is he creative? And does he have competitive nature? Those are the 5 things I look at.
Yeah. One of the things as a coach that can be really hard is to identify those in a short period of time. So you can often arrive and find that those people that you thought had those attributes might not. So what's a way around finding or identifying, like, do you really have, particularly if you're doing something like bringing in an import or something like that, you've really got to do your homework and hope everyone's being honest, like as in who you talk to, yeah?
Yeah, and coachability really depends on a coach too. I hear players all the time. Oh, they talk about the coach ain't good, the coach ain't this. A lot of players don't want great coaches, because if you have a great coach, he's gonna see you when you're not doing things right.
Yeah,
and he's gonna bring it to your attention. So one coach might be coachable for one player might be coachable for one. One player may be coachable for one coach, but for another coach, he's not, because all of a sudden he comes to the coach as, a great coach, and he's going, hey, in the last 3 minutes you've done this, and you got to work on this. You were late to practice. You were this, and all of a sudden that player's not coachable anymore, and it's really due to the player. So coachability is a tough one. Creativity, I can tell right away. Work ethic is something you can really check pretty easy by making calls and getting around and doing that stuff. Their athleticism, that kind of sometimes depends on what level you're playing at. Athlete for us here in the NBL is different than athlete for the NBA. I mean, athleticism, for some of those point guards that we think aren't athletic, like we kind of think that, a guy like Chris Paul's not athletic. Oh, he's athletic. If he played in our league, he'd be athletic. Yeah. So you got to check it out, but you know what, Craig? Sometimes you just get it wrong. But a lot of times depending on the dollar too.
It comes down to too that you're building a team, so individuals still have to get on with each other. So
that's right.
So you might have all those things, but there could be issues around, getting on with your team. And you talk about the Bullets group and how cohesive they were as a unit. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what it takes to win a championship. It really, the coaches bang on about buy-in, but it really is everyone giving a little to get a lot. Like, sacrificing. I don't think unless players are in that situation where they're on a championship team like that, it may take them to be on a team like that before they actually get it. If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. If you were a group of guys and none of them won a championship before, it's really hard to talk to them about those qualities that it takes to win a championship. But if they won one before, they can talk about it.
Thanks for joining us for a basketball conversation. Feel free to start a conversation of your own with other Ausswoosh superfans by commenting below. And I look forward to sharing our next conversation with you soon. I hope you'll join us again sometime. Catch you later.